edition of MBLMN. Brought to you by your host. He's from Canada. He loves poutine, but he doesn't love your team. Mark Ballion.
Reporting live from Monrovia, California, I'm Mark Ballion, and welcome to this week's edition of MBLMN 18. Eshegs and gentlemen, it has been way too long. After all these years, it's nice to be back at it, giving you this week's update on what might be the most important fantasy football season of your entire lives. Before we go over the matchups, let's jump into a brief recap of the draft from last week. The draft was underway when Mark, I can't see myself not taking Le'Veon Misidian, shocked the fantasy universe with his selection of Zeke Elliott with the first overall pick. When all the stars lined up and the only Steelers fan had the opportunity to take arguably the greatest Pittsburgh player of all time, the Wizard chose a starving cowboy. With the second overall pick, Sacco took an interdivision rival and used the same strategy for pretty much the remainder of his roster. America's team, Setyan Fontable, owner and mustache savant Ara Yardımyan, played it safe with a superstar coming off a season-ending injury. Kev took a very sexy Antonio Brown at 4, the greatest player in NFL history, Drew Brees, and about 9 tight ends. And of course, Dan Bailey. Wait, what? How did someone else draft Dan Bailey before Kev? For all future viewers who don't understand that joke, as of September 10th, 2018, Dan Bailey is not actually on a current NFL roster, but Jeff Reed is. For everyone else who still doesn't understand that joke, Kev has a very serious man crush on Dan Bailey. Choosing seconds before I did, an undeserving Sevag stole Odell Beckham Jr., who famously decided to hold out and not play against Hagop Muradyan in Week 9. Finder's fee, indeed. The most overrated fantasy coach ever, yours truly, had the most boring draft class in recent memory and played it safe, drafting anyone associated with the Patriots, except, of course, the good ones. Hopefully we look back at this and laugh when Sony PS4 Michel Maibel breaks out as the Offensive Rookie of the Year. More on that in Week 17. Seruj made the best decision and chose a Saint, A+. And one of Aren and my best friends in the entire world, Jay Ajayi, who he immediately tried to unload onto Sacco before he scored twice in the first game of the year. Hey, what do I and Aren's first overall pick have in common? We both didn't play on Sunday. What else do I have in common with Le'Veon? We're both choosing not to make $18 million this year. Greg is an engaged 49ers fan with a really funny team name, not. More on that later, not. 2 sets of double rainbow opportunities there. Let's see how that pans out. Hagop chose the probable rookie of the year and a not-so-holy Christian who plays for one of the 3 worst teams in the league. Scratch that. I watched Monday Night Football, Chucky. 4th worst team in the league. Poor decisions were made, but recoveries were inevitable for the unfazed sports fan. Week 1 is in the books. And after a week of fantasy production, let's jump right into the scores. This week's lucky winner is crowd favorite and America's team, Setyan Fontable, owned by everyone's favorite Trojan man, Ara Yardımyan. Nearly 200 points from a garbage, I misread that, barrage of point afters from Justin Tucker, a solid game from his double rainbow combination Brady and Gronk, and the emergence of what some may say is the greatest draft pick of all time, James Conner. Ara came out swinging against Greg's group of lowlifes, or GGLL. Greg starts last year's hero, Kareem Hunt, and gets less than 5 points. Starts Hard Knock superstar, Jarvis Landry, who does cool stuff, bruh. But most importantly, the GOAT's favorite option this year, Mikey Thomas, who accounted for 1/3 of his total points. Better luck next week to Greg as he takes on Hunt's previous owner, Aren. Coming in a distant second last week, we had Seruj, who smashed Kalashnikov Boros' only remaining fan, GG. Gigi thought he would get a quick start to this year and tried to take advantage of a mixed-up backfield in New England. Starting Rex Burkhead is a mistake. When you get a chance, ask Auden what I think about Rex Burkhead. The aforementioned Odell stole the show with his class and grace, scoring a succulent 22 points, while Roto-World hype star Trey Burton obviously got a whopping 2.5. Seruj was aided by the GOAT's second favorite option, Alvin Kamara, and a donut from Doug Baldwin. Everyone here at MBLMN 18 wishes Doug Baldwin a speedy and painless recovery. Congrats to Seruj, who goes on to face Kev in what will surely be a matchup that we review on next week's show. Following shortly, we have a revenge opportunity for Auden after a disappointing loss in last week's playoffs. The Wizard ran out of magic in this week's matchup, and if you think that that's the last time you're hearing that horrible pun, you, my friend, are horribly mistaken. Tyreek Hill seems to be otherworldly, scoring in every facet of the game, even lining up as a defensive end in 3-4 sets. Auden takes a blow at tight end as friend of the show. Delaney Walker breaks his ankle. Once again, everyone here at MBLMN 18 wishes Delaney a quick and painless recovery. How did the number 1 overall pick do in his premier matchup? Well, Mark could have picked Isaiah Crowell and done better, but we'll let that slide. It is week 1 after all. Dallas's debut looked absolutely woeful anyway against a really bad Carolina team. Speaking of the Cowboys, Sarkis started one of those players, the mighty Allen Hurns, clocking in for an unimpressive point per 20 minutes of gameplay. All 7 of the wide receivers started in this matchup against cousin Hagop totaled 43.9, which is the equivalent of 1 Tyreek Hill plus another Dallas wide receiver, Terrence Jones. Greg Williams would be turning in Brett Favre's eventual grave after watching his glorified catchphrase destroyed by the likes of Mike Gesicki and Patrick Mahomes. Scratch that. Hagop dropped the number 3 overall quarterback and joined the Ramilia. Poor choice. But, we eaten. Finally tonight, we have the most overwhelming match of the week, where Kev gets lucky against a far superior team. In a game that I did not realize was as close as it was in the end, my fantasy season nearly ended on Sunday Night Football. I took a back seat to a team that boasts the greatest player in the history of the sport, Drew Brees. Aided by solid performances from 2 top wide receivers, Kev took me down by a whopping 4.1 points, which is what I assumed Travis Kelce got automatically at the beginning of all games by filling in his name on the team roster. The Saints also gave up 48, which, for the record, is really bad, and also is the total amount of points the Bucs scored all of last year. A fluke game, I assure you, kind of like the Jets win on Monday. My team of Davids goes on to defy the Goliath of America's team next week as Ada inevitably advances to 2-0. With a great week like this, Setyan Phone Table takes this week's prize, putting him one step closer to winning this league's annual trophy. Actual ownership of this Setyan Phone Table. Dirty dog, Alex Setyan has graciously given us permission to take that delicious piece of interior design history as our trophy. We'll follow up on this next week. That's all I have here. Here's to all of you falling flat on your faces next week and scoring less than 100 points. So that way you can see eye to eye with Hagop's team. Thanks for watching. From all of us here at MBLMN 18, I'll catch you on the flip side.